Hi guys, it's Lynn from Homestead Oz, and as promised a long time ago, I did promise to to show you guys how to make a sourdough culture from scratch, how I keep my sourdough culture and how I make the sourdough bread. I'm sorry everyone that I haven't got back to it, and Wayne and I haven't been making many videos. There's been a lot of you asking us when we're going to start doing some more videos, but we've been really busy on the ground here and on the farm and in local community, and yeah, that's been our main priority the last couple of months because as you all know, the internet can go down any time, so we thought it might be good to get a lot of like-minded local people together too, and so that's what we've been working on a lot. But I did promise you this, so here it is. So it's really easy. Like the grandmothers back in the day used to even make their bread out of their potato peelings. They grew their potatoes, they peeled their potatoes, they kept their potato peelings and put that with water, made a yeast ferment on the side of their stove, like our old wood stove here. That was my grandmother's stove, as a lot of you know. And that was the way they did it, or they just put flour and water together, put it on the hob of the stove when the fire was going, so that warmth made the yeast that's collected from the air grow. It's summertime here now, so I don't need to do that. You can just start one in your own room, in the kitchen. But yeah, in winter time you do need to start it by a fire or on top of a hot water service or by your lounge room fire. Just not too hot, but enough so that it gets that nice temperature so the yeast can grow. Really, there's so many ways to make sourdough, and I look at the recipes online a lot and I thought, oh, my way is just really basic, and you can complicate it as much as you like if you want to go real fancy, but I'm just going to show you a real basic way that I've done for 30 years and it's stood Wayne and I in good stead. Wayne loves raisin bread, so you can make raisin bread out of this. You can take a little bit off and make pizza bottoms so you can have a pizza afterwards. There's so many things you can do with the dough, not just make bread. So you can check all that out for yourself, the recipes out there, but I would be careful, don't overcomplicate it. It's not that hard. When you first start your culture, it's not going to be really strong, so the first 2 times you make your bread, it's not going to look wonderful, but as you keep progressing, each time you make it and make your culture stronger, it'll just make better and better bread. Just depends on the weather too. If you've got really cold weather, you don't put it by the fire, that bread's not going to rise really good. But we've got really hot, humid weather here at the moment, so mine's just been rising like crazy. Alright, so I will show you how I make my original, just anyone can do this, just a bit of flour and water. I'll show you how you can make it, start off a culture, then I'll show you our culture we've got here and what I add to it to keep it going. And the bread, like I said, I'll show you how I knead, because some people like to know how to knead properly to get that gluten stretched, and when you know it's just ready too. Some people do no knead. You do have to add a few more things for no knead, like bread improvers to make it really nice, but I'll show you that in a minute and see how you go. Okay, so this is 50% wholemeal bread flour and 50% unbleached bread flour. So it's important to have bread flour because it's higher protein. If you can't get bread flour, just use normal plain flour, white flour, but just be aware that the more protein you have, the more gluten that's in there too, and it stretches more and it creates more, well, just a nicer loaf. But, you know, do what you can with what you've got. I've got a lot of high protein bread flour. The Italians in the world are the ones that have the most protein in their wheat, and that's why they make beautiful bread. It's all about the flour a lot of times, but like I say, in these times that we're in now, even flour's hard to get. So you can make bread out of any wheat flour really, as long as it's not self-raising flour. This is one that I use, which is a crusty white bread. It says bread mix, but I don't use the yeast or anything in it. I'm doing the sourdough. And it's just a good bread flour all-rounder, and I mix that with wholemeal flour as well, and that creates a beautiful loaf. You can do rye bread, wholemeal bread, mixture of both, a German sourdough, San Francisco sourdough type breads are nice, you know, the nice crusty long rolls, that type of thing. There's so much you can do, like I said. So here we go. There's the amount of flour that I have, as you can see. Very simple, just add the water, stir it in. I just want to show you what consistency I get this to. And as I say, we're in summer here, so it's a great time to start a sourdough culture. But if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, which a lot of you are right now, just put it somewhere nice and warm. Keep it there for 3 days. See if it's starting to bubble. Just watch to make sure that it hasn't got any you know, mold growing on the top, which I doubt you will get if it's by somewhere warm inside. And you don't put a cover on it, you just leave it open, because you're actually just attracting the yeast from the air in your own kitchen or wherever you're doing it. So you can see that's easy to stir at the moment. I'm just getting all the lumps out. You get all those lumps out, and then I'll add a little bit more water. So it should be like a pancake mixture. That's how I do mine. And that's nearly done. So this is just starting from scratch, guys. 3 days, see if it starts bubbling. If it doesn't, just leave it there until it starts to get a few bubbles in it. And then a little bit more water now I'll add. Yeah, see, that's perfect. As you can see, that's stirring up like a nice pancake mix. You don't want it too thin, but the wholemeal kind of sucks up all that water. So that's perfect. That is perfect. You leave that for 3 days, like I keep saying to you guys. And then what I do is I take out, if I'm starting a new culture, take out half that, tip it down the sink or wherever you want to put it, and add some more flour and water and let that go another 3 days. And that'll just bring in more yeast into that. And within a week's time, you should have a good culture going. It might be good if you don't want to do a flour one. Look at the potato peeling ones and other ways. You can make sourdough. You can make sourdough bread out of kombucha, which I've done before, out of kefir. Anything that's, say, probiotics, you can make because it's got the yeast in it and all the rest. You can make a good sourdough loaf. My kefir loaf turned out really, really nice and fluffy. But I had really good kefir grains too, and kefir milk I make is really strong with the probiotics. So there's your culture made, right there. Okay, simple, hey? Really simple. The old KISS syndrome, keep it simple, sweetheart, I say. And so this is my culture here that I keep in the fridge with a cover on it. And you can see the consistency is a lot thicker with this one. Just originally you start off a bit thicker. But that is full of all wild yeast. And I just put that in yesterday. That's starting to bubble in there really good, which is great. And next time I want to make some more bread, I just take that out and add it with the flour. Let it sit overnight. So for that much culture, or whatever you want to start, I add, say, 3 cups of flour, make a fairly good pancake batter, let that sit overnight, and then the next morning it's bubbled up. Then I add some salt and flour to make it into a dough, as you see, and let that rise and then bake it. Very, very simple. But you choose your own way of doing it, because I always believe every woman or man has their own tricks in their own home and they adapt things to their own way. This is the dough that I've added the flour to. Okay. So I just want to show you the way I knead, okay? So you can knead any way you like to. In fact, a lot of women have their mixers and they have a kneader on it. That's the easy way. But I push towards my front, then I turn it, you know, just that 1/4, push again, Then I fold that over and I turn it and I push again, fold it over, turn it, and I keep stretching it so the gluten gets stretched. That's what you want. So you'll see me get going in a minute. Sometimes I do double on the one side. So I'm stretching, pulling. Sometimes I fold, most times I fold, sometimes I just turn it. You can feel it. You've got to feel your own dough to see how it's going. Now this usually takes around about 10 minutes. It's not stretching yet. I'll hold that up and you can tell it's not stretching yet. It's looking more like, it's stretching a bit. I can pull it out. But it's still like scone or biscuit dough, as you guys would say. A very stretchy biscuit dough. But so there you go. See, if you keep doing this, you're stretching out that gluten and the proteins and all that kind of thing. Sometimes I really just flatten it out all like that, and then I roll it over. Give it a go like that. So I'm distributing the yeast with the new flour too, which is really important. So stretch out. Fold that over. You can do whatever you like. So long as you get the air towards the end, so long as you've got all those air sockets out so you don't get really big holes in your bread. Okay, over. You can hear the air popping out as I'm squeezing it. See, already I can feel that starting to stretch more. Okay, so you will see now that I can stretch it. I've been kneading it a lot and it will just stretch a lot easier. As you can see how much that pulls out without breaking. Okay, fold it over. It's really important to knead as much as you can with sourdough. Yeast bread, not so much, but with sourdough it's important because it's a different kind of yeast, and a lot of times you're using flours that might not be that high protein nowadays. They are really expensive to get now, I've noticed the last 6 months. So I just want to show you how that stretches out with one hand. See, I can keep stretching it out, and that, see how it's not sticking to the table? That's really important to you know that the gluten is really working now. I don't put any flour most times down because I've added flour in there and made it a bit floury on the outside. But you can put a little bit of flour on the table, but if you're finding that you're having to use a lot of flour all the time on the table, that means that your dough is either too much water in it or the flour hasn't got a lot of protein in it. Because it's all about just being like, just stretchy, that's what you need. So that's looking good. So then I usually just get it all, squash it into a bit of a sausage there. Then I want to go down this way because I've been doing predominantly the other way. Fold it over, squash down, fold it over, squash down. And then it starts to turn into a roll, as you can see. And that is ready to go into any kind of tin that you want. I've got bread tins, I cook in casserole dishes, I cook in glass dishes, I cook in camp ovens. You can put that in anything so long as it's a heat-proof dish. And what I do advise is though, heat up your oven and the first 15 minutes to 20 minutes, cover it with some foil, or if you've got a lid over your particular dish, cover it so it steams for a little while, which makes it a lot more tender loaf and it makes the crust not too hard. Then you take that off after the 15 to 20 minutes and let it bake normally. So there it is, guys. You can either make it into a round one if you want to, dip it into a round bowl or casserole dish, whatever, you know, long. You can make rolls out of that. You can make breadsticks out of that. Do a little bit of research yourself and see what you can do. It's just fascinating, all the things that people have invented, like cheese rolls. I mean, there's so many things you can do with it. It's wonderful. Cinnamon rolls are really nice out of sourdough as well. So that's that. We'll pretend that that's now in its tin, and it's going to rise up there for probably we'll let that rise for, right now it's humid today, so that'll take, say, 2 hours to rise up to be a nice loaf. And but if you're in a cold area at the moment, put it by the stove, it might take 3 hours. You'll see, if it doubles in size, that's what you want, doubling in size. So this bit here that I've got here, I'm actually going to put in the freezer once I need it, and that will be ready for another loaf in case of emergencies. I try and make it during the week all the time, but sometimes if I'm not well or something, I know I've got a loaf ready to go that I've just got to knead a little bit, put in and let rise in the tin, and then cook it, and I haven't had to do all the pre-work, which is good. So with the shortages in the shops at the moment, I would advise to start making your own bread if you want to. It's just so cheap. I mean, this is costing me a few cents to make, and well worth the effort. And I really enjoy making bread, and I like seeing the kids and Wayne and friends eating my bread too. It's nice to see. So that's about all I want to say, everyone, but it is very simple, and just remember the thing that's most important in life is the 4 F's, which is, to me and to Wayne too, is our freedom, our family, our friends, and our future together. And of course, number 5 could be food. Take care, and we will see you soon.